everyone, it's Samantha, and today I'm doing a 40-week update. It's kind of an impromptu update. We're not going to go down the list or anything. As of filming this, I am 40 weeks and 3 days. So baby girl is a little bit overdue, and I'm not sure when this video is going up, but I wanted to go ahead and film it and talk about some of the overdue things. I had a midwife appointment and they talked about the process from here on out. They measured her, they measured my cervix, and actually last week I had them measure my cervix as well, and there was no change between last week and this week. I'm about 60% effaced and less than a centimeter, so barely anything's happening with my cervix at this point, but that really doesn't mean anything. Your cervix can be dilated for weeks before you give birth, or your cervix can dilate right as you go into labor, so it really doesn't mean very much, but I was a little disappointed that there was no change throughout the whole week. So I expected some sort of change. So I want to talk about a couple of symptoms I've been having and some funny things that happened the last week or so. And this is just kind of for posterity and for if anybody's coming across this video later on. I want this information to be there just so that I can share my experience with you guys. And like I said, this probably won't even go up until after she's here. So if you're seeing this video as it gets posted, you might want to check my Instagram, the Scrapmaster, and see if she's already here or not, because I'm not exactly sure when I'm going to edit this or anything. But anyway, it was either the 15th or on my due date. I was cooking breakfast and I started getting them enough that I realized they were closer together. Before, you know, I'm just having them in the background here and there and not really paying attention that much. They don't slow me down. I don't have to breathe through them or stop what I'm doing. They're just kind of annoying and sometimes uncomfortable. Sometimes I barely even notice them, to be honest. So I just kind of ignore them in the background. But I was timing something on the oven. So the oven said 20 minutes and I noticed I had multiple ones within 20 minutes. So I'm like, ooh, these are really close together. So I started timing them. I have an app that I use to time them. I just looked up contraction timer and found this free app. And when I was timing them, they were about 5 minutes apart and they were lasting about 30 seconds. So I was like, ooh, maybe this is, you know, really early labor. It's a sign of things to come. And it kept continuing. So it was really on and off for 3 solid days. I was having contractions. Every time I timed them, they were about 5 or 6 minutes apart and they were 30 seconds long. So they were pretty decent contractions, but nothing that ever amounted to anything. From having my cervix checked, they never did anything to dilate my cervix. So my uterus is just practicing in there and I've still been having them. So Tuesday, my husband came home for lunch and we just had leftovers. I heated them up. And when I got up from my chair, I had a leak. And I thought, oh my gosh, maybe my water just started breaking. I got really excited and contacted the doula. It leaked and dripped for just a little while. And then it stopped, so most likely I peed my pants. I was so excited that my water might have broken, and it wasn't. I actually leaked in my pants. I peed my pants, and thankfully that's only happened once, but it was embarrassing to be like writing to my doula, I leaked a little bit of fluid, and turns out I peed my pants. So it's a little embarrassing. The other thing that happened is the night before my doctor's appointment, I had really painful back pain. I was having some sharp back pains, and also I had just like a dull ache in my lower back and in like my pelvic region. It was just really uncomfortable. So I did some exercises. I got on my hands and knees and swiveled my pelvis and used the exercise ball a little bit to kind of alleviate some of that pressure that I was feeling, some of the achiness. And when I went to the midwife appointment the next day, and while she was measuring my belly and feeling where the baby is, she said her spine was kind of turned towards my spine, and she had asked me if I had been having any back pain. And sure enough, you know, that was what was causing the back pain, is when your baby's spine lines up against your spine, it can pinch some nerves and stuff and cause you some back pain. That's what makes back labor so painful, is the baby's spine or the baby's head being positioned in a weird way where it hits your back. So she was doing that. It hasn't happened very frequently during my pregnancy. She's generally like rolling her spine towards the outside of my belly. She still has room enough that she does rotate her spine back and forth. It was just really uncomfortable that she had moved that way, so we just tried some positions to try to get her to get out of that position, and lately she's been fine. Procedures at hospitals and doctors' offices vary, you know, from hospital to hospital and state to state and all that stuff, but the way my midwife group does it is they take a hands-off approach. It's actually really normal for people to go 40 to 41 weeks. From what I've talked to a few midwives in our group, from what they've said, it's really unusual for them to have to induce you. A lot of women choose to get induced once they're overdue. When it comes down to it, there's very few people that have to get induced at the 42-week mark. Just for, for the safety of the baby, they don't let you go over 42 weeks at my hospital. That's like the longest you can wait. So they don't typically have a lot of women waiting till that 42-week mark and not going into labor and having to be induced. So it's not a very common thing. What is common though is women going to the 41-week mark and then wanting to get induced, so they go ahead and schedule it and get induced after that 41-week mark. So one of the first questions she asked me when I went in, I'm a couple of days overdue, is how do you feel about induction? And my first initial response is I don't want to be induced. I want her to come naturally, so I am going to hold off as long as possible, as long as they'll let me. If she doesn't decide to come sooner, we will get induced at the absolute latest mark, which for them is 42 weeks. That's just the policy. But aside from that, I don't want to get induced. So the procedure for that is once you hit 41 weeks, they give you a non-stress test. They check everything again, make sure everything's fine with the baby. And if everything's fine, they'll let you go 3 more days, and then they'll give you a non-stress test again. If you haven't had the baby yet, they'll do that up to the 42nd week day, and then they induce you. Like the midwife said, the chances are she'll come before that 42-week day, which is March 2nd. So we could potentially have a baby in March, which I never even considered. I thought, surely, having a due date of February 16th, she would definitely be born in February, even if she was a little early or a little bit late. Well, it turns out there is a possibility. If I go to that 42-week mark, she will be born March 2nd. So barely into March. So it's something that totally boggles my mind, thinking I could be pregnant for another week and a half, basically. But I'm gonna hold off as long as possible. Thankfully, I haven't been super duper uncomfortable lately. I've been having some discomfort. I've been having some contractions here and there that are stronger, that kind of just make me stop in my place, but not enough that I have to breathe through it or I have to, manage pain or anything. It's just something that I'm like, ooh, that one kind of stung a little bit. I kind of notice it more than the other ones where I'm just basically having contractions in the background all day long. I am able to sleep at night, but I do wake up with a couple of contractions here and there, and I only wake up still 1 to 2 times to go to the bathroom during the night. So I am getting some pretty decent sleep. It's not perfect sleep. I still toss and turn, and that's just kind of my nature. I do toss and turn at night anyway, so it's just kind of something I'm used to. But there's not that many sleep disturbances caused by the pregnancy. I've got my tons of pillows around me, so I'm pretty comfortable in the bed. I don't have to get up all the time, so I've been really lucky with that, and the contractions haven't been super annoying for the most part yet. I'm just tired a lot, so I take naps a lot. I don't really do much around the house anymore. I do try to do my walking, so I'll walk laps in our house. We have an open floor plan downstairs. If you've seen any of my videos, you'll know what I'm talking about. I just walk laps around that whole area. And yesterday I went to the Y with one of my friends, and we walked on treadmills. She walked way faster than me. I was going at a really slow, leisurely pace, but I still ended up walking 3 miles, which I was really proud of. And then today I'm super duper sore just from all the movement in my hips and my lower back. So that's kind of where I am. I'm 40.5 weeks right now. I'm going to just hold off as long as possible. They did say I can call in at any time if I'm super uncomfortable and I'm ready to get her out. We can go ahead and schedule the induction, no problem. So it is really tempting, and I see why people choose to do that. If that's the choice you make, I think that's wonderful, because it's so tempting to just be like, let's go ahead and get it scheduled, then you're having your baby in a couple of days. For me, it just didn't feel right to me to rush things when this is still in the normal range. It's normal to go up to that 42-week mark even. So I'm just gonna wait it out and see if she'll come on her own. I'm really hoping she will, and I'd really like to not get induced. Just because I want to go all natural, and I know with Pitocin or any of those synthetic hormones, the contractions are a lot harder to bear. So I don't want to stack the cards against me for this natural birth. So I'm really trying to just hold off and wait as long as possible. So that's pretty much it. It's just a waiting game at this point. And the midwife just again and again assured me that everything's normal. It's totally okay to go over your due date. And I know from listening to my friends' experiences and family's experiences that going over your due date is no big deal, but it feels like a big deal. And especially because everybody keeps asking me, are you having any labor signs? Is anything happening? And I can't really tell you anything. You know, it's the same thing that's been happening for the last few weeks. Nothing's really new. And anytime I think there is a new symptom, it ends up being nothing. So it's kind of pointless to even like get excited about the new symptoms. And I was talking to my husband about this actually last night. I was like, if I really go into labor, I've had so many like fake excitement things, you know, getting the 5-minute apart contractions that led to nowhere, and the leaking, which ended up being just me peeing my pants. I'm not sure I'm gonna know that I'm going into labor. I'm gonna be like, yeah, whatever, it's just, you know, more contractions. I'm not gonna believe it at first, I think. So it's gonna be interesting to see how different the real labor is from my fake symptoms that I've been having. So that's really all I had to share with you guys today. I just wanted to make sure to post this for anybody who's gone overdue and looking for videos. It's totally normal to be overdue, so don't panic. If you're watching this later after it's been posted, be sure to check out my pregnancy playlist, and it'll walk you through day 1 to the birth story of my baby girl. So you can catch all the videos you want to catch, and you'll be able to find out when she actually arrived and how she arrived and all that good stuff. So that is it. Be sure to subscribe to this channel so you know when I update, and I'll catch you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day. Bye.